Do you lack fantasy football and sports betting? Come join us here at the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast, where hosts Matt, Shane, and Jason talk about fantasy players, lineups, and sports betting to help you compete and win championships. And of course, some extra cash. Let's jump right into the show.
Welcome back to another episode of the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. Matt, Shane, and Jason with you guys on this lovely, lovely evening. How are you two doing tonight?
I am doing fantastic, sir. We are less than 48 hours away from the NFL season kicking off with my Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, how much more excited can I be? I don't know, man. It's like inject this into my system year round at this point.
Jason?
Oh, hold on. I got you. I muted him by accident.
I was about to say, I was like, who muted me? You don't want to hear my talk about the Texans right now. We are so back. NFL season's back. College football's back. I cannot be more ecstatic about what's going on.
That's right, man. It's so exciting to have football back. The NFL kicks off in a couple short days. Oh, we're just so freaking excited. College football's been here. We're in the swing of it now, boys. We're in the swing of it. Before we jump into tonight's episode, guys, and by the way, tonight's episode is going to be our fantasy episode. We're going to be talking about Shane's hot or not players. We're going to go into that a little bit, do some news and notes, and then just kind of freelance this week one. Like, we're just so excited. All the drafts have been complete. We might talk about our draft that all three of us were in. Oh, Shane, you got another draft?
I have one draft. It is tomorrow night. It is my wife's family's draft. So just let you know, there are drafts that still procrastinate as long as possible to take place.
Okay. I like that. Well, we'll talk a little bit about our three draft that we were all in last night. It was quite exciting. Some mishaps with an app, and it was just very off the wall here. But before we jump into it, guys, we just appreciate all the support. We, again, thank Fantasy Six Pack for partnering with us and just letting us come aboard, talk football, talk some bets with them. So we're very thankful for that. If you guys want to subscribe to any of their stuff, man, head over to fantasy6pack.net. Become an all-access member, guys. You're going to have tons of content, not just our content, tons of content. You'll have access to our extra betting, our bets that have been going on. Those are all going to be on there as well. If you become an all-access member, it's a one-time fee. And I swear you get a lot of information throughout the entire season. And it's not just football. It's every single sport out there. Join their Discord, guys, Fantasy Six Pack. You'll have the opportunity, if you become an all-access member, to talk with us, ask us questions. There's a lot going on over there as well. If you want to follow any of us specifically on the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast, you can find Shane at Shane Parlay FF. You can find Jason at Jason Parlay FF and myself at Matt_Parlay FF on the old X machine. Remember, guys, we are on every single podcasting platforms. We just recently switched over to Spotify for podcasters to expand the podcast as well. So head on over there, go to the Parlay Fantasy Football Podcast. We are keeping our brand the same. So we will be over there for all the audio stuff. Go over there, give us a review, leave a 5-star comment or 5-star review, and leave us some comments, guys. We're always down to do some intermingling with anybody out there, and we thank everybody for joining the movement and helping us grow. It's been a wonderful journey. We can't wait to see what the season brings and how it all plays out. Do you guys have anything to add to that?
If you caught our futures, also if you haven't gone and seen our futures episode, the futures article is out now. That way, you don't have to go try to write them down as they went through. So the article is out now on fantasy6pack.net. So go check that out.
Yes, sir. We're going to be having articles come out as well. And like Shane said, go check out our futures, man. Like, we've been doing well so far with bets. We want to keep that train moving. So with that being said, let's jump into the news and notes. Shane, what do you got for tonight?
Trent Williams officially re-signed with the Niners, so he will be there for Week 1. That's massive. Ricky Pearsall, who, I mean, everybody probably knows this at this point, but was shot this weekend, and so he was back at team facilities today, and I'm sensing like a Brian Robinson type situation here. This dude's gonna
Rookie of the year bet. Rookie of the year bet, guys.
Is that a comeback player of the year? Does he get put in a comeback player of the year for that? Or
He might.
I don't know if you can have a better walkout song for your first game than Brian Robinson did. You can't match that.
Yeah, I think he has to steal it. I think that's the key. Other than that, not a ton of news. Tyler Lockett is expected to play. It was very suspect that he would, but he is expected to play. Marquise Brown was officially ruled out Thursday's game.
What are we?
Jamar Chase makes it out.
That's what I was asking. That's what I was going to ask you.
I was leading there's not a whole lot, and then hey, by the way, the number 3 wide receiver in fantasy may not play Week 1. So Andre Yoshevich should be drafted in every league at this point. There's trouble in the jungle, and
it sucks too, because if you are in a fantasy league which I am a part of one, they do not open up the waivers until after Week 1. So just I hope you have a contingent plan for Jamar Chase in case he does not play, because I have a contingent plan, but I drafted Jamar in a couple leagues, and now I'm on the old hot seat. I'm like, oh goodness gracious, this is absolutely crazy. You got any other news?
Luke McCaffery was listed as a starter. Shocking.
Oh, nice.
So that's big news for those of you dynasty nerds out there like us that were interested in Luke McCaffery and Washington. Another interesting thing is Brock Bowers still has yet to play snaps with his QB1. He has been hurt ever since the QB1 has been listed, and was not playing alongside Gardner Minshew during the preseason. So that's something. That's interesting.
Who did Luke McCaffrey, who did he have to beat out for that spot? It wasn't Diami Brown, or is he number 2?
I think Diami will be the boundary wide receiver. I think he's listed as the 3rd wide receiver on their starter list. Like he's the slot. He's the designated slot wide receiver. But I think Diami Brown, if I'm remembering correctly, it's Terry McLaurin as a wide receiver X, and Diami as wide receiver Z. And then he's the Y and then Z? Yeah, I don't know. My brain's fuddled.
I got you. I do want to jump in a little something here, boys. Last night we had our Yahoo. We drafted on Yahoo. It's one of our home leagues. There were a couple little mishaps. A couple players did extremely well with their drafts. They had a lot of picks. How do you guys feel? Because Shane and Jason and I were all talking last night on the draft through a FaceTime call. How do you feel? Because Shane was talking about this a lot. How do you feel about Yahoo's ADP and how I feel like misconstrued that is?
Yeah, it is atrocious. They need to figure out, I don't know what setting they need to turn on, but defenses and kickers being listed as ADP of 80 and 70 is ridiculous. It makes it unusable, and the fact that you have to sort by their expected rank instead of an ADP for their consensus site is just bonkers, in my opinion. It's a travesty. It needs to be figured out. They need to do something. And also, their draft board doesn't work if you do keepers. So the draft board was unusable. Like, no offense, Yahoo, but it's not fantasy friendly when you have other apps that are willing to do the work. And it doesn't seem like, they're doing that. So,
yeah, it's crazy. Jason, what do you think?
No, retweet. I just hate leagues that do defense in general.
Yeah. Understandable. It is kind of crazy. Jason's got the hiccups, so he's gonna, until he gets rid of them old hiccups, he's gonna, because you hiccuped right.
We're back, baby.
Okay. Because you were like right before you.
No,
talk.
we're back.
All right, got you. Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. It was a fun draft. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was a fun draft, but I do know that there were a couple times where, Shane had in how it was set up. How it's set up when you're drafting, you can't really tell like when you. And this is a keeper league, but you can't tell like it says you have a pick, but there might be a keeper picked in that round, so it's hard to track. So a lot of people went and thought they were having a pick in the third or fourth round, and then it just skipped them, and they were like, "What the heck's going on?" Well, that's the round that they kept a player in. So, it was real weird. It was very weird, but overall, a fun draft. I got an F as my draft grade, but I got an F last year, and I ended up making the playoffs. So just keep in mind, guys, fantasy you ain't winning your league at the draft now. It's a good start, but it ain't going to be one at the draft. Jason, you had a pretty good draft. You had multiple picks there in the. What round did you have 3 picks in? I can't remember.
I had a lot of picks early on, like the 3rd through 5th.
Gotcha. And who were the guys that you kept?
So the only player that I kept was Nico Collins. Thank you, Shane. I kept him in they kept him in 8th or 10th, Shane.
I think it was
I think you kept him in the 8th.
Yeah.
8th.
Yep.
So
Yep.
yeah, then I traded away a lot of pieces last season to where I got picks early on in the draft where I felt comfortable picking a quarterback late in the draft because I just was getting skill position on skill position. I think I got 6 to 7 players within the first 5 rounds.
Yeah, that's nice.
So it was one of those things. It was nice. That's what happens when you finish second to last in the league. So we're getting better.
Yeah, well, I'm projected to finish last this year, buddy. So we will see how that goes. I ended up drafting Jamar Chase in the first round, and now I'm a little worried. I got Jamar Chase and Jalen Waddle, and then I went no wide receiver till like the 9th round or 8th round or something. So yeah, Shane, how'd you do?
Yeah, I mean my keepers were Puka and I traded for Jonathan Taylor, who kept as a 3rd last year, and coming in,
Nice.
3rd in this league last year allowed me to keep those guys at the back end of those rounds, which was really helpful. That's some significant value. And then I built around that pretty nicely. I think I was one of those people who thought they had a pick and then didn't have a pick and then didn't have a pick for a billion years.
Yeah, it's like 40 some.
So yeah, in the 4th round, I took Malik Neighbors. And Jason just turned his screen off. I took Malik Neighbors in the 4th round, and I probably had understood the Yahoo setup a little better, I would have probably gone tight end there. But had to address the tight end situation in the 9th with Dallas Goedert, which isn't my favorite, but he's serviceable. So
right.
Yeah, also, Matt, I have the 3rd best ranked team. Jason is the 2nd best ranked team, and you have the worst ranked team.
Oh yeah,
still.
Yeah, 100%. I'll lay it out, man. I had to get Jaden Daniels as my starting quarterback. I paired him with Brock Purdy. I drafted him late in the draft just to have a. I feel like when you draft Jamar or Jaden Daniels, you don't really want that to be your only quarterback on your roster. So I just wanted to solidify someone that could get points later on in the draft. My running backs are not good running backs. Like they're not like the top tier running backs. I have Ramondre Stevenson and I don't even know who else it is. But I have Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle, who are both, one may sit out and the other one has a calf strain, but I think he's going to end up playing. And then I kept Dalton Kincaid in the 7th, which was awesome. And I kept Tajay Spears in the 9th, knowing that I didn't have a 3rd round pick, people. Okay, I didn't have a 3rd round pick or a 5th. Or 5th was a keeper, and 6th, or no, sorry, I didn't have a 5th round pick. So those 2 rounds are pivotal rounds to draft a player. So it was kind of hard in the streets. It was really kind of hard in the streets last night. We'll see how it goes. Make some trades, make the team better, But I want to get with you guys here. Oh, go ahead, James. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I'm honestly excited about my team. The one thing that like drafting on those weird, formats works kind of well with is people get messed up because of the list and they aren't searching for certain players. Like, for example, we were discussing Ty Chandler in the draft last night.
Oh my God.
And it's because I snagged him in the 11th round but like everybody was kind of searching for that value at that point, and Chandler was like way down the list because of how it sorts. And so it was just funny. We were like, well, that's pretty insane that like everybody was looking for running backs, and there just happened to be one that was, about 3 pages of scrolling down the list.
Yeah, I was one of those that fell victim to that. I ended up drafting Zeke, and I think I would have rather had Ty Chandler. Or no, I didn't draft Zeke. I drafted somebody else. But I would have rather had Ty Chandler, and Shane just was like,
no, you drafted Zeke.
Was it? Okay. Yeah, it was it was. You're not kidding. It was hard to keep track of the right-hand side of the screen where all the players were being drafted and scrolling. To be honest with you, it messed me up. Like, I kind of went a little bit on tilt because I like being able to see who people are drafting so I can organize my queue that way, because it's just like a scrolling. So yeah.
Shout out Sleeper, because their stuff is great.
100%. Well, I want to jump in here, guys. We got 2 days until officially the first NFL game. You got the Chiefs and the Ravens playing. But what I want to ask you guys, NFL aside, what is the most exciting thing you're looking forward to this year when it comes to fantasy? I feel like there's been a lot of buzz, so I want to throw that to you guys before we start the season off.
One of my favorite aspects every year, aside from obviously drafting your team and then, the roster baiting that comes with that, is waiver wires. Like, I get amped about like having a flag plant on a guy who ends up on the waiver wire, and then like week 1 and 2, you kind of see something, and then you make that move, and all of a sudden that dude's a league winner, and that always feels like the most rewarding sensation for fantasy football. So like that's always what I look forward to, is like those people that didn't get drafted every year that ended up being fantasy relevant and trying to be the first one there.
Love it. I like that. Jason?
I'm a piggyback off what Shane said, but I don't want to go waiver wire. I think it's more impressive if you actually draft him later in the rounds, and then some guy in the 13th, 15th round, whatever it is, pops off. Injury, hopefully it's not an injury, but it doesn't matter. This guy who you picked in the 13th, 15th round, to where it's like, holy, I'm taking a shot for this guy, and he ends up popping off like Puka last year. That was the guy for everybody.
Yeah.
If you like, unless you're Shane and you did not get him off waiver wires, it won you leagues.
Yeah.
That's the most interesting part, where it's like, if you make that long shot guess, you hit. It's like winning in Vegas and you win the jackpot. That is a better feeling.
Yeah, I like that. And the cool part is, for me, is like, not only is it, draft season, like Shane and Jason said, you want to have a phenomenal draft and so on and so forth. But like, for me, it's just the aspect of seeing that first kickoff of week 1 NFL, Thursday night football, like just getting that feeling back of we are fully back with NFL, college. You get the opportunity to watch numerous amounts of games. Like, obviously, Jason, Shane, and I are all fans of a specific team. But when you're playing fantasy, that feeling of knowing that you can't be biased about a certain player or a certain team, you have to turn your brain mentally to another channel and say, okay, we are playing fantasy football. I'm still rooting for my team, but now we're playing fantasy football, in the aspect of being able to watch not just the players on your roster, but the players on every roster. Because the three of us can consensusly agree that 95% of the time, you have to make moves in the fantasy season to win your league. Like, if for some chance, by the luck of the straw, and you drafted like the perfect team and they popped off and you got those sleepers late in the round, like Jason was talking about, and you have a set lineup, fantastic for you. But like, just having that mental acuity of being able to turn your brain to another channel and say, okay, I have to not be biased about certain players. I have to not fall in love with these certain players, knowing that I might have to make a move later on in the year to trade these guys for something better that's going to fit my team for a championship run. Like, it starts now. Like, it starts 100% now after your draft. like Shane said, you're scouring waivers. You're looking at those names that are talked about in the news. You're doing your due diligence and research, and you just see what happens. Like that's what I love about the start of the season here. Anything to add to that?
No, not really. There is literally always a guy in the 280p or plus.
Yeah.
That becomes someone that everybody missed out on, or like, unless you have deep rosters, like he's just not getting, like, it's insane that the amount of like surprises that we see within a year, despite the amount of time and effort put in by everybody to guess
100%.
this correctly. So like,
yeah,
if you're wrong, you're wrong. Like it's a game. It's fun. The game within the game, baby.
Love it. All right, let's get into some takes here, Shane. Like I said, Shane has a list of like 3, 4, or 5 guys that we like or that we don't like, right? For the start of week 1. We kind of want to transition it into, eventually Jason and I will both have our own players as well. But we want to just start small. It's week 1, guys. It's week 1, so it's hard to tell who's really going to be hot and who's really not, who's not, you know what I mean? So Shane, let's start off with the players that you like for week 1 here for fantasy lineups, and we can just talk a little bit about them.
Yeah, so for week 1, my hot list, we'll start with the hot ones. We got Travis Ettiene going against the Miami Dolphins. Look, this is going to be a high scoring affair. I'm pretty sure the over-under is currently 50.5. The Dolphins have 2 of their 7 defensive linemen, like, actually, that are healthy.
Really? That many injuries, huh?
So give me Ettiene to have a day on the ground. Give me Tank Bigsby to maybe have a day on the ground. But the Dolphins are so banged up, and there's going to be so many points scored in this game, that I truly think that Ettiene, obviously he's already a must start for you. You invested significant draft capital, but he probably could have a chance to win you your week this week, and pay heed of that thought process.
Jason, what do you think about that?
After losing Christian Watkins on their defensive line, who is their catalyst, I agree with what Shane says, because I don't think Miami's defense can hold up, but I think they're going to score enough points in order to make it worth the while for Jacksonville to throw the football around and try to move the football on the ground. And they will have to that.
Well, and Travis is such a key integral part of that offense, even through the passing game. Like, it's just so many points. He's a smash.
Yeah, I like that. I don't have any rebuttal to that. That's a good take from both of you guys. That's awesome. You got
Thanks, guys. Next on the list is an uglier one. You know, he's a bit of a debate for the entire offseason. Is he good? Is he not? Zach Moss. I think the Moss will be on the right side of the rock this week. So go ahead and play him. They are playing the New England Patriots in Cincinnati. The New England Patriots are 9.5-point dogs in week 1 of the NFL. The dude's going to eat the entire second half. Like, they're just going to turn around and hand the ball to him. And I mean, if you have Chase Brown, if you want to submit Chase Brown here instead of Zach Moss, go for it. Like, they're both going to eat. I think that it becomes a major just let's get out of this game with everybody healthy situation. I am a little timid if Jamar doesn't suit up, because that he's probably worth 1.5 in this game specifically. But I think he sits up. I think they come to the table and get it done. But, Zach Moss, I think in this situation is a smash play. Definitely worth the flex at minimum.
Yeah, that's a great take. When Shane, actually, we talked about this a little bit before the podcast started, and I had to give Shane the old evil eyes. I had to give him the old the stink face. You know what I'm saying? Zach Moss, season long, we don't know. Is it going to be him? Is it going to be Chase Brown? I picture it more of Chase Brown after like week 3, week 4, but that's a great take. The New England Patriots, they just don't have what it takes this year. They're still rebuilding, new coach, a lot of things going on in that organization, some moving parts. And yes, Jamar Chase on the Bengals is a definite more of a powerhouse team, but even without Jamar Chase, it does make me a little timid, Shane, like you said, but the Bengals are still going to be too much. Like, they're just still going to be too much for that team, and especially in Cincinnati. So, yeah, that's fantastic. Fantastic take there. Jason's good.
Yeah, no, I was going to say if he plays well this week, look to trade or stop Moss.
Yeah.
Go
Good.
ahead.
Good take.
Dangle that trade bait.
Yeah, good take. Good take. Give me a first next year for old Zach Moss, baby. Let's go.
Yeah, perfect. Send him off.
Last but not least, another one that's not the prettiest name, but one that should probably deserve some recognition. It's Javonte Williams, baby.
Yeah.
Javonte and the Broncos are taking on the Seattle Seahawks in Seattle. Look, the Broncos.
Breaking news.
The line in the Patriots-Bengals game just dropped a full 2 points.
That's scary.
Sorry. Back to the fantasy stuff. The Broncos and the Seahawks. The Broncos are 5.5-point underdogs in this game. But however, the Seahawks are terrible. Just absolutely booty cheeks against the run. They were the 31st worst run defense last year in the NFL. Give me Javonte with however much this backfield is split to deliver at least RB20. And that means that he should be in your RB2 slot or he should be in your flex spot.
Yeah, so with Javonte, I agree with you wholeheartedly, Shane. I think he is going to blow out week 1, but I wouldn't offer him up for trades unless it was something substantial. I think he's going to have his breakout year this year.
I am leaning back towards that direction, Jason.
Yeah,
there were times during the offseason I was very hesitant.
Unless you get something that you cannot turn down, I think it's one of those years for Javonte, especially with Bo Nix.
Yeah, and the crazy part too is Jason's been pounding the drum for Javonte pretty much all offseason, and I know at first Shane and I were skeptical. We weren't really leaning that direction just because there was rumors around, and maybe it wasn't rumor. There was deals saying that he might not even make the team. He might be cut from the team. But he really balled out in preseason and showed his worth, in my opinion. And like Shane said, my opinion on him has flopped. Maybe a little stronger, more or less than Shane, because I still want to see it. But I'm leaning pretty hard that direction towards Jason, and I think he could have a good season. I think he really could. So
yeah, and Sean Payton's offense is always fantastic for running backs, and Javonte has the pass catching chops to take advantage of those. And Bo Nix is one of those guys who will target his running backs, and also he's a rookie quarterback. So check down Central, baby.
Yeah, like it.
Now to the knots. Look, I don't care if you drafted these dudes with any significant value. You shouldn't have for any of these guys. You shouldn't have. Well, maybe one of them. But Najee Harris should be on your bench this week if you can find any sort of substitute. And you should have some sort of substitute for Najee. They played the Atlanta Falcons. There's a chance they get boat raced. They also are running an entirely new offensive scheme with one of the worst offensive coordinators in the NFL. And the Falcons' run defense was one of the best units in football last year against the run. And they only got better this offseason. Atlanta has been very aggressive addressing the front four. They weren't in the draft. They made some odd choices. But since then, through trades and free agent acquisitions, they have bolstered that interior 7-8. And I think that Najee probably is not going to have a good time. And the Steelers may be playing from behind very early, which I think does not lend to Najee touching the rock. I think it becomes a Jalen Warren game pretty quickly. Sorry, Matt.
Yeah. There's no need to apologize. There's no need to apologize because I'm with you. Like, I agree, but I also disagree. we all know that the Steelers, they got a lot of work to do, right? We don't know what their identity is going to be. Obviously, they had Matt Canada last season, and we all were pounding the drum to fire him and get rid of him. He's absolutely terrible. Then they go out and get Arthur Smith, another wide receiver, tight end, just killer, right? We know that Arthur Smith wants to run the ball. We know that he likes to run the ball. I agree that Jaylen Warren, I think, will be the bigger beneficiary in that offense with Arthur Smith, just because of the flash that you just mentioned to. I still think that there is value to Najee Harris in like a 60-40 split. I still think there's an opportunity for him to touch the ball, 200 plus times this season, as well as Jaylen Warren, because I don't know how much they're going to throw the freaking ball. But yeah, I agree with you. Like, in the sense of, even though I have to start Najee in some leagues just because that's all I have, but I lean more towards the Jaylen Warren side of the rushing duo for that flash.
So actually, I'm on the opposite of you on the fact that I think that Jaylen Warren will not be the beneficiary of this offense. I think it will run through Najee this year, but this game is just one of those games that, like, game specific. I do not want to play Najee this week.
Gotcha.
I like Najee season long. In fact, this would be an opportunity maybe to catch somebody who drafted him and doesn't want to keep him. Like, they're going to see a Jaylen Warren game possibly and want to move off of him. So this would maybe be a buying opportunity after this week, in my opinion.
Gotcha.
But like, I think Najee becomes the center focal point. Look at how much they used Tyler Algier last year. And Algier's not flashy. Like, Bijan's the flashy, the good guy. And I'm not saying that Algier is the same caliber that Najee is. Najee's a better player than Algier. But we're going to see a very stereotypical workload there with Najee.
Gotcha.
Jason, you got anything on that? Or
No, you good. Move on.
Gus Edwards, baby. Gus Bus. They're playing the Raiders at home, kind of. It's going to be like 85% Raiders fans in that stadium, which is hysterical. So it will essentially be a home game on the road for the Raiders. Gus Edwards is playing against the Raiders, who have one of the best front fours in all of football. There is a chance the entire public is wrong about how good the Raiders could be this year. I don't want to find out week one that Gardner Minshew can feed Devontae and Jacoby and Zamir White's actually good, and Gus Bus not be able to do Greg Roman things, and to find out that J.K. Dobbins may be the starting running back and maybe Kavani Vidal works in. Like, this is a complete, I'm okay waiting and seeing. Like, I know that technically Gus Bus was going, I think, RB 35. So, like, you would have drafted him with significant capital. Hopefully there's an alternative, or you are strong enough at other positions you don't give a shit. So, like, that's a benefit. But if you are facing that situation, may the fantasy gods be with you, because I don't believe that this game is going to be friendly for the Chargers at home.
I don't have anything on that either. That's a perfect. He said it perfect there. It's a very murky backfield situation. I don't know. Obviously, everyone drafted Gus to be the RB1 there, but do we really know? Do we really know how this three-headed running back system is going to play out? I totally agree. If you are someone that has a Charger in your backfield and you can substitute, that is 100% one that I would sit back and wait on, like Shane said, because you could start Gus and he might give you
4 points.
3 points. Yeah, 3-4 points, or even a goose egg. You don't really know. So
he could fumble the football. He is notorious for that.
Yeah, that's a good call. I don't mind that one bit, sitting and waiting and see what week one brings for you.
Agreed.
All right, last but not least, I'm gonna say this one really quick because it hurts my feelings.
You better speed this one up, buddy.
Xavier Worthy is on the not list this week. Rookies week one with Andy Reid are always very, very questionable. We don't know exactly what his role will be in this offense. They're playing the Ravens, who have a good secondary. It's not an amazing secondary, but a good secondary. I'm saying approach with caution. If you are backed into a corner and you have to start Xavier, like do it with confidence because there is a 100% chance. Well, not 100% chance. There is a chance that he puts up 120 bomb with a touchdown or 2 touchdowns. Like we could totally see a absolute filthy performance. However, the Chiefs notoriously manage rookie snaps very, very, very conservatively for the first 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So there's a chance he only sees 30% snap rate, 35% snap rate, and that wouldn't be abnormal for Andy Reid. I think that he'll see a little more than that. I do think that he'll be like in the 60-ish range, but that still concerns me. And for that reason, if I drafted Worthy in, the 7th round, which is kind of where he was going, 6th, 7th round,
Yeah,
I'm looking at hopefully having people above him or maybe people who I drafted later who are more like stable production people to fill that role for week 1. Let him figure out his role in this offense and then move forward from there when they get in Hollywood back or when they get Hollywood back and can kind of function as a full unit rather than taking the Hail Mary on the rookie and an Andy Reid offense week 1.
Yeah, agree with you there. Everybody drafted all these rookie wide receivers. They were the hotness, right? With the exception of MHJ and Malik Neighbors, who we know are generational kind of guys. We know the teams they went to are going to see a significant volume of work because of that talent. We're not saying that these guys aren't talented because they are. They got drafted in the NFL draft. They're talented players. But you have the guys like Worthy, Adunze, Adonai Mitchell, Lad McConkey.
BPJ.
Yeah. Like, you drafted them high. You want to start them. But what I am perfectly fine with, not just Worthy. Like, if you need to sit them to see what happens week 1, to see really the kind of volume that they may see for future, it's a good example. And like Shane said, with the Chiefs, they are notorious for that. Look at Rashee Rice. He did not start out hot last year. I know it's a different draft capital, but look at where he is now. And,
only 35 picks different, to be fair. But,
okay, so it's not crazy.
Yeah, like it's not really that insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, he only had a 48% snap share week 1 and ramped up to 65 by week 4. So
yeah.
like,
yeah,
it all depends on if he drives a sports car or not.
Andy Reid's offense is incredibly detailed and incredibly hard to learn. That's one of the reasons it's one of the best in the NFL.
Yeah.
You can't expect somebody to come in from college and just immediately absorb it. If he did, you should go trade for him in Dynasty. If you see him week 1 with an 80% snap share, I don't care that Hollywood's coming back. Go trade for him if you can.
Unless he's driving a Lamborghini SUV.
I mean,
boy. All right. That's it. That's all we got for today's fantasy episode, guys. Remember, it's week 1. Tread lightly. Stay water on your players. Don't get discouraged from your draft. If you didn't feel like you had a good draft, man, it's still start of the season. Just be positive. Be confident. Go make moves that you need to. Go check out that waiver wire. You know how we do it up in here. All right. Again, huge shout out to all the support, all the love we've been getting, the growth of the podcast. It's really awesome to see. We're going to keep doing our thing. If you guys want to go check out fantasy6pack.net, man. Become an all-access member. Open up the gates for everything. It gives you access to everything, man. Like, it's a really good site. If you guys want to check out YouTube, we are on Fantasy Six Pack's YouTube. So go over to Fantasy Six Pack. Check out the YouTube channel. That's not just us. They've got multiple different shows on there. You can see us goofy faces right here, man. Remember, go to any of the podcasting platforms. Check the Parlay Fantasy Football podcast out. We are keeping our brand. Give us a like, 5-star review. Leave us a comment. We really want to start engaging with all of our subscribers because y'all are awesome. Okay. And then remember, head on over to X. Check us out there. We be posting stuff there all the time. Go check out all the old episodes. We're everywhere. We're everywhere. And with that being said, y'all know what to do.
It's been real, y'all. Do not lose your mind in week 1. Stay the course.
Week 1 don't matter. It is a filling out process. Love you. Shout out F6P. Appreciate y'all, guys.
We love you all. To the moon and back. Till next, though. Peace out.